You ever hear a song that sounds good, but it doesn't feel good? Like, it's catchy, but the more you listen, the more you realize it feels manufactured, processed, like it was assembled in a factory instead of actually written with passion. Well, you're not crazy. That's exactly what's happening in the modern music industry. The rise of coworker music. It's slowly draining the soul out of the music we love. So what exactly is coworker music? Well, it's a term I'm using for these super polished, radio-friendly songs that feel like they were designed in a factory rather than created by an artist with something real to say. It's the type of music you hear in an office, a retail store, or a Starbucks. Pleasant enough to be in the background, yeah, but forgettable the moment you walk out the door. Think of it like the musical equivalent of corporate approved wallpaper. Now let's be real, Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. It's fun, it's bouncy, it's well produced, but at the same time, it sounds like it was crafted in a lab for mass consumption. And this isn't any shade to Sabrina because she's a talented singer and songwriter, as we've seen throughout her discography in the past. But this song just feels like the melody was written to be algorithm friendly, where the lyrics are TikTok ready and the entire track feels like it was designed for maximum virality instead of genuine expression. Does it sound good? Absolutely. Does it feel like art? Not really. The thing is, a lot of these songs aren't even written by the artists themselves. They're put together by teams of songwriters and producers whose entire job is to pump out hits like an assembly line. You ever notice how a lot of pop songs these days sound kind of the same? That's because a small handful of producers are behind the majority of mainstream hits. Think of people like Max Martin and the teams at major labels who create music like it's a science experiment. Then you add TikTok into the mix. Now, songs aren't even being made to be songs, they're being made to be sounds. Labels are literally demanding that artists create music with a viral moment in mind before the song is even finished. That's why so many songs now have that quirky, random lyric or soundbite designed for TikTok clips. Because if it blows up there, it doesn't even matter if the rest of the song is forgettable. The algorithm has already done its job. Now, pop music has always had catchy, radio-friendly songs. That's not the issue. The issue is that we're seeing less and less real, raw music break through. Think about artists like Ed Sheeran in his early days. His music felt raw, emotional, and filled with soul. Now, even he has had to adapt to the hyper-commercial landscape. Another issue? Overproduction. Modern pop songs are polished to death. Every vocal is pitch corrected, every drum hit is quantized perfectly to the beat. There's no room for flaws, and flaws are what make music feel human. Another part of this problem? The rise of industry plants. Artists who are pushed by labels as if they're independent, when in reality, they've had the label backing them the entire time. Now, I'm not saying every mainstream artist is an industry plant, but there's definitely a trend where labels are manufacturing artists, curating their entire aesthetic and presenting them as if they just came up naturally. It's why you see artists with zero organic fan base suddenly getting millions of streams overnight. It's not because they blew up, it's because the industry decided that they should blow up. Music used to feel like a journey. Artists would grow, evolve, and experiment. Think about someone like Frank Ocean. His music changes every time he drops, and it's always unpredictable. But now, the industry doesn't allow that. Labels don't want a risk. They don't want an artist to grow naturally. They want a sure thing. That's why so many artists get stuck making the same song over and over again. If a formula works, labels will milk it until it dies. That's why a song like Olivia Rodrigo's Good For You is great, but then suddenly every pop artist was making their own angry pop punk track right after it blew up. The industry doesn't create movements anymore, it just creates trends. One of the saddest things about coworker music is how it's widening the gap between artists and their fans. Music is supposed to be personal, it's supposed to make you feel connected to the artist. But when everything is mass produced, artists become less like people and more like brands. Back in the day, artists would drop albums and disappear. Now, they have to stay online, constantly posting, constantly feeding the the algorithm just to stay relevant. It's not about the music anymore, it's about content creation. So what does this all mean? Well, if music keeps heading in this direction, we risk losing the heart and soul of the industry. We're already seeing underground and indie artists push back, making music that actually feels like something. But the more the industry prioritizes these soulless, factory-made hits, the harder it gets for those real artists to break through. But here's the thing, if we start prioritizing real, passionate music over these formulaic industry plants, labels will have to adapt. So next time you hear a song and think, this sounds good, but why does it feel so empty? Trust that instinct. Because music is supposed to make you feel something, not just exist as background noise in a coffee shop.